The fluorescent lights of the community theater buzzed like angry hornets as Sebastian's leg buckled beneath him, a sickening crack echoing through the hushed audition room. Blood seeped warm and sticky onto the scuffed wooden stage, his father's boot still hovering mid-air, the man's face twisted not in regret, but in a grotesque triumph that chilled the air. "Now they match your life?" Dad spat, the words landing like shrapnel in Sebastian's chest, splintering the fragile hope he'd clung to for years. Sebastian had always known his father saw him as a glitch in the family code. A son who preferred poetry slams over pickup trucks, who blushed at the sight of broad shoulders in a crowded diner rather than cheering for touchdowns. Growing up in the Rust Belt sprawl of Youngstown, Ohio, where steel mills coughed out their last breaths and men like Harlan Whitaker measured worth in calluses and conquests, Sebastian learned early to bury his truths deep. Harlan was a widower, widowed young by cancer that stole Mom when Sebastian was 12, leaving behind a ghost of lavender-scented hugs and a boy who suddenly had to navigate the minefield of his father's unyielding expectations. "Be a man," Harlan would growl over breakfast, slamming the sports section of the Vindicator onto the Formica table, his eyes skimming past the arts page where Sebastian's secret sketches hid. But Sebastian wasn't built for the mill or the mill's ghosts. He was wired for spotlights and stolen glances, for the electric hum of stories that mirrored the chaos in his soul. By 18, Sebastian fled to New York City on a partial scholarship to NYU's Tisch School of the Arts, trading the gray Ohio winters for the relentless pulse of Manhattan. The city swallowed him whole at first. Subway rats the size of house cats, auditions that chewed up dreamers and spat out baristas, but it also cracked open doors he'd only peeked through back home. In the village's dimly lit cafes, he found his tribe, queer kids with glitter-dusted cheeks and voices that trembled with the weight of unspoken coming-outs. There was Alex, the lanky barista with a tattoo of Oscar Wilde snaking up his forearm, who slipped Sebastian free lattes and whispered, "You're too pretty to be straight," and Mia, the non-binary playwright with a buzz cut and a laugh like shattered glass, who dragged him to his first drag brunch where queens in sequins belted show tunes that felt like anthems for his fractured heart. But New York wasn't all neon liberation. It gnawed at him too. Rent ate half his stipend, leaving him crashing on Mia's futon in a Bushwick walk-up that smelled of patchouli and instant ramen. Auditions were a gauntlet, directors with clipboards and clip-on egos who scanned resumes like they were hunting for felons. Sebastian's type was sensitive leading man, but the roles? Token gay best friends or tragic sidekicks dying of something poetic by Act 2. Still, he persisted, memorizing monologues from Angels in America till his throat ached, practicing in front of cracked mirrors that reflected a boy on the cusp of 22. All lean muscle from waitering shifts and eyes that held too much light for the shadows chasing him. It was Mia who spotted the casting call for Echoes of the Closet, an off-Broadway workshop production about queer youth in the heartland, raw, unflinching, the kind of play that could gut you and stitch you back with hope. "This is it, Seb," Mia said, shoving the flyer into his hands over greasy diner eggs. "Your story. Your voice." The audition was set for a rainy Saturday in a converted warehouse in Chelsea, the kind of space with exposed brick and ghosts of forgotten rehearsals. Sebastian prepped for weeks, channeling the ache of that first kiss behind the high school bleachers, with Tommy Reyes, the Mexican-American quarterback who tasted like spearmint gum and regret, into a monologue about forbidden longing. He nailed it in his tiny apartment mirror, the words tumbling out like a confession he'd never made to Harlan. Harlan. God. The man had been a specter since Sebastian left Ohio, phoning every Sunday with the same script. "When you comin' home, boy? City's tennin' you soft." Sebastian dodged, filling silences with lies about networking and internships. But guilt festered like an untreated wound. Last month, Harlan had shown up unannounced at Penn Station, a duffel of deer jerky and flannel shirts in hand, his face carved deeper by years of bourbon and solitude. "Proud of you," he'd grunted over a forced dinner at a tourist-trapped steakhouse. But his eyes had lingered on the rainbow pin on Sebastian's backpack like it was a swastika. Sebastian had brushed it off, chalking it up to small-town rust. But the unease lingered, a low hum under his skin. The audition day dawned gray and sodden, Manhattan's streets slick with October drizzle that turned gutters into rivers of discarded dreams. Sebastian arrived early, heart jackhammering as he signed in at the folding table manned by a bored intern with purple hair. The waiting room was a pressure cooker. Aspiring actors pacing like caged panthers, scripts clutched like talismans. Sebastian spotted him across the room. Javier, or Javi as his headshot bio claimed. A 24-year-old from the Bronx with skin like burnished copper, black curls that begged to be tugged, and a smile that hit like a shot of tequila. Javi was running lines under his breath. His voice a low rumble that sent a shiver down Sebastian's spine. When their eyes met, Javi winked, casual as breathing, and Sebastian felt the room tilt. "Hey, nerves!" Javi slid onto the bench beside him, close enough that Sebastian caught the scent of sandalwood and street rain. Up close, Javi's eyes were whiskey brown, flecked with gold, and his button-down strained against shoulders honed from years of community theater and pickup soccer. "Like a virgin at prom," Sebastian quipped, his cheeks heating. It was a line from his monologue, but Javi laughed like it was original sin, deep and unfiltered. "Same. But hey, we're all just spilling our guts up there. Might as well make it count." Javi's knee brushed Sebastian's, accidental or not, and stayed there, a tether in the chaos. They talked through the wait. Javi's abuela in Puerto Rico who sent care packages of pastelillos. His side gig as a barback at a queer lounge in Hell's Kitchen where drag kings slung shots like poetry. Sebastian shared snippets of Ohio winters, the way snow muffled secrets, and Javi listened like he was memorizing, his gaze steady and warm. By the time the stage manager barked, "Whitaker," Sebastian felt lighter, like Javi had siphoned off the lead in his veins. The audition space was intimate, a black box theater with folding chairs for the panel, director Elena Vasquez, a fierce Latina in her 40s with a reputation for championing underrepresented voices. Her assistant, a twink named Theo who typed furiously on a laptop, and a couple of producers nursing coffees. Sebastian took center stage, the spotlights harsh and forgiving, and launched into his piece. The words poured out, about a boy in a mill town, loving in whispers, the terror of a father's shadow eclipsing his light. He embodied it. Shoulders hunched against imagined blows, voice cracking on the edge of a sob, then rising fierce and unbroken. The room held its breath. Elena leaned forward, eyes gleaming. "Beautiful," she murmured as he finished, applause rippling soft. "Raw. Real. We'd love to see you read with someone tomorrow, chemistry test." Sebastian floated off stage, Javi's thumbs up from the wings igniting something reckless in his chest. He texted Mia, "Nailed it. Met a guy." Her reply was a string of eggplant emojis and fire. But as he gathered his bag in the lobby, the door banged open like a gunshot. Harlan stormed in, rain-slicked and red-faced, his flannel shirt untucked over a gut softened by too many six-packs. "What the hell is this?" he bellowed, waving a crumpled flyer like an indictment. Sebastian's blood iced. He'd left it on the kitchen counter during Harlan's visit, a careless breadcrumb. "Dad, how did you?" "Saw it in your shit. Drove all night. This fag parade." Harlan's voice cracked the air, heads turning, whispers snaking through the crowd. Javi hovered at the edge, concern etching his brow, but Sebastian waved him off, stepping forward like he could contain the storm. "It's just a play, Dad. My play. Please, not here." Harlan's laugh was a bark, ugly and hollow. "Your play. Pretending to be one of them. I raised you better." He advanced, breath sour with whiskey, eyes wild with a grief Sebastian recognized too late. The same feral hurt that had followed Mom's casket. The argument escalated in the hallway, voices bouncing off cinderblock walls. "You're throwing your life away," Harlan roared. "For what? Some pansy bullshit." "It's my life," Sebastian shot back, chest heaving. "I'm gay, Dad. I have been since forever. And this is me fighting for it." The slap came first, Harlan's palm connecting with Sebastian's cheek in a sting that bloomed hot. Gasps echoed from the doorway, Elena peering out, phone in hand. But Harlan wasn't done. Rage boiled over, and as Sebastian stumbled back toward the audition room, instinct screaming for witnesses, Harlan lunged. His boot, steel-toed from the mill days, swung low and vicious, connecting with Sebastian's left knee in a crunch that folded bone like paper. Pain exploded, white-hot and total, Sebastian crumpling to the linoleum as screams erupted. Javi was there in a blur, cradling his head, shouting for help. Elena dialed 911, her voice steady amid the pandemonium. And Harlan? He loomed over his son, chest heaving, the fight draining from his eyes like sand through fingers. "Now they match your life," he whispered, the words a eulogy for the boy he'd lost long before this stage. Then he turned, vanishing into the rain-slicked street, leaving Sebastian shattered in more ways than one. The ambulance ride was a fever dream of sirens and strangers' hands, morphine threading through Sebastian's veins like liquid mercy. Javi rode shotgun in the rig, his face a mask of fury and fear, gripping Sebastian's fingers till knuckles whitened. "Breathe, mi amor," he murmured, the endearment slipping out unbidden, a lifeline in the blur. Belvuzier swallowed them whole. Beeping monitors, hairy docs and scrubs, the metallic tang of blood and bleach. Fracture. Compound, tibia and fibula. Surgery stat. As they wheeled him into pre-op, Sebastian caught Javi's eyes, the gold flecks dimmed by tears. "Don't go," he rasped, and Javi nodded, fierce as a vow. He woke to the sterile hum of recovery, legs swathed in plaster from hip to toes, elevated on pillows that felt like clouds laced with thorns. Mia burst in first, eyes puffy from crying, clutching a bouquet of bodega daisies. "That bastard," she hissed, perching on the bed rail. "Cops have his plate from the theater cam." Elena's lawyered up, assault charges pending. But Sebastian waved it off. The fight leached from him by painkillers and the hollow echo of Harlan's voice. "Match your life." It wasn't just the leg. It was the verdict on his existence. Broken, limping, unworthy of the straight line Harlan had mapped out. Javi became the anchor, smuggling in empanadas from his abuela's recipe and streaming bootleg musicals on his phone. Nights blurred into confessions under the flicker of hospital fluorescence. Javi's first crush on his cousin's wedding DJ, the fistfight with his macho uncle that ended in a black eye and a locked closet door. Sebastian spilled too. The Ohio boyhood of stolen glances at the swim team, the prayer vigils Harlan dragged him to after finding a half-read copy of Giovanni's Room under his mattress. "I thought New York would fix me," Sebastian admitted one midnight, morphine making his tongue loose. "Make me whole enough to call him dad without choking." Javi's thumb traced the back of his hand, calloused from bar shifts but gentle as a psalm. "You're not broken, Seb. That man's the fracture. And this," he nodded at the cast, where he'd sharpened a rainbow flag and eerie sufficient in looping script. "This is just a detour." Discharge came a week later, Sebastian hobbling on crutches that chafed like accusations. Javi insisted on the Bushwick crash pad, turning Mia's living room into a recovery ward with ice packs and bad rom-coms. Elena called daily, her voice a bomb. "The show's on hold, but your spot's locked. We rewrite around the limp, make it part of the narrative." Strength in the stagger. Chemistry reads went virtual at first, Javi and Sebastian trading scenes over Zoom, their banter sharpening into something electric. Off-camera, it spilled over. Lazy kisses that tasted of plantains and possibility, Javi's hands mapping Sebastian's body like uncharted burrows. But Harlan's shadow loomed, a specter in voicemail Sebastian deleted unread. "Call me, boy. We talked this out." The theater community rallied fundraisers at the Hell's Kitchen Lounge, where drag kings auctioned off custom binders and patrons tossed bills like confetti. Sebastian's story hit the blogs. Ohio dad's homophobic rage shatters son's dreams and bones. Outrage swelled, petitions circling for Harlan's arrest. But Sebastian felt the bile rise. This wasn't justice. It was spectacle, his pain parsed into hashtags. Broken but unbowed trended. Strangers demanding prayers and propositions. But none pierced the ache like the silence from Youngstown. Thanksgiving loomed, a minefield of Norman Rockwell lies. Javi cooked, Eras con gandals and tofurkey for Mia's vegan ass, turning the walk-up into a haven of laughter and spice. Sebastian watched from the sagging couch, crutches propped like sentinels, his heart swelling at Javi's easy grace in the galley kitchen. "You know," Javi said later, curled against him under a threadbare quilt, the city thrum rumbling below. "I was scared too. Thought loving a guy like you, open book all heart, would break me open. But it mends." Sebastian kissed him then, slow and deep, the kind of kiss that rewrote endings. "Stay?" he whispered, and Javi's yes was a promise etched in starlight. Winter bit hard, snow dusting fire escapes like powdered sugar on wounds. Physical therapy was hell. PT in a fluorescent gym, sweating through reps that screamed failure with every wince. But Javi showed up, spotting him through lunges, his encouragement a steady drum. One more, Poppy, for the stage. Rehearsals ramped up, the warehouse theater transformed into a Heartland rec room set. Faded couches, a crucifix on the wall, posters of muscle cars peeling at the edges. Elena's vision sharpened. Sebastian's character, Eli, a queer teen in a mill town, navigating love amid rust and rejection. The limp became Eli's inheritance, a father's lesson, after a furtive kiss caught in headlights. Javi landed the love interest, Marco. Fiery, unapologetic, the boy who pulls Eli from the abyss. Their scenes crackled, on-stage chemistry bleeding into after hours. Stolen moments in the green room, Javi's lips on Sebastian's neck as stagehands called places. "This feels real," Sebastian murmured one night. Post run through. The cast dispersed to dive bars. Javi pulled him close in the empty house, spotlights cooling to embers. "It is real. You're my Eli offstage too." But doubt crept like frost. Harlan's calls escalated, voicemails laced with slur and sorrow. "You're killing me, son. Come home. We'll fix this." Sebastian ignored them, but the pull tugged, a riptide under calm waters. Mia noticed, cornering him during a smoke break. "Don't let that poison win, Seb. You're building something here." "Us the show, him." She nodded at Javi, laughing with the lighting tech across the lot. Yet betrayal brewed in subtler shades. Theo, Elena's assistant, started lingering after note sessions, his compliments edged with hunger. "You're magnetic, Sebastian. Ever thought of screen?" It was flattery at first, then offers LA Connections a pilot script tailor-made. Sebastian demurred, loyal to the stage, but Theo persisted, texts pinging late. "Drinks? Just networking." Javi saw the glow of the screen one night, jealousy flaring brief but bright. "Who's that?" he asked, casual, but his jaw tightened. "Just the assistant. Shop talk." Javi nodded, but the seed lodged. Trust, fragile as fresh bone, began to ache. Spring thawed the city, cherry blossoms rioting pink along the High Line. Rehearsals hit fever pitch, tech week a blur of cues and curses. Sebastian's legs strengthened, the limp a deliberate sway now, Eli's gait a metaphor for resilience. Opening night shimmered on the horizon. Press passes distributed, investors buzzing. Javi and Sebastian stole a weekend upstate, a borrowed cabin on the Hudson where loons called like lost souls. They hiked slow trails, Sebastian's crutches traded for a cane that clicked like Morse code. Evenings by the fire, Javi strummed a borrowed guitar, ballads in Spanglish that wove their stories tight. "I love you," Sebastian said on the second night, the words tumbling free as rain pattered the tin roof. Javi's eyes widened, then softened, pulling him down to the rug. "Te amo más," he replied, their bodies a tangle of heat and healing, the world narrowing to skin and size. Back in the city, the idol shattered. Theo cornered Sebastian in the alley post-rehearsal, rain sheeting down like judgment. "Saw you with Javi. Cute. But honey, he's small time. I can get you real work, callbacks in Hollywood, the kind that pays." Desperation dripped from his words, but so did truth. The theater world was a meat grinder, and Sebastian's injury had stamped damaged goods on his resume. "I'm good," Sebastian said, firm, but Theo's laugh cut sharp. "Ask your boyfriend about his connections. Bronx boy slinging drinks? Please. He's riding your coattails, waiting for his shot." The barb hooked deep. That night, over takeout lo mein in the walk-up, Sebastian probed gentle. Theo mentioned something about opportunities. Javi's fork paused, sauce dripping forgotten. "What did he say?" "Just wondered if you're looking out for number one." The air thickened, Javi's face closing like a stage curtain. "You think I'm using you? After everything?" Hurt flashed, raw and real, but beneath it, defensiveness. Sebastian pressed, words tumbling accusatory. And Javi fired back. Maybe you're the one scared. Seb scared of being seen as the broken kid from Ohio. The fight escalated, voices echoing off thin walls. Mia banging from her room. Take it to couples therapy, bitches. But damage bloomed. Silences stretched, touches cooled. Rehearsals turned tense. Their onstage passion a ghost of itself. Elena shooting worried glances. Sebastian limped through scenes, the cane a crutch for more than bone. Then Harlan resurfaced, a telegram from hell. A letter forwarded from Ohio, scrawled in his blocky hand. Saw the papers. My boy in lights, even if it's that filth. Coming to opening. Make you proud. Pride? Or penance? Sebastian's gut twisted, the old terror rising like bile. He didn't tell Javi, the fracture widening unseen. Opening night descended like a fever, the warehouse theater pulsing with anticipation. House lights dimmed to a hush, the air thick with the scent of fresh paint and nervous sweat. Sebastian paced the green room, cane tapping a staccato rhythm against the floorboards, his costume. A faded flannel over jeans worn threadbare at the knees, clinging like a second skin. Eli's wardrobe, Elena called it, authentic ache. Javi avoided his eyes across the makeup mirrors, their reflection fractured by unspoken barbs. Break a leg, Javi muttered, the irony landing like a slap, and Sebastian forced a nod, throat tight. The overture swelled, indie folk guitars twanging over steel mill drones, and curtain rose on Act 1. Eli's World, a Youngstown living room lit by the blue flicker of a TV preaching reaganomics. Sebastian entered limping, the audience's intake of breath a collective held secret. His monologue unfurled, words honed to blades. The terror of a glance lingering too long on the neighbor's son. The mill whistle's wail masking a sob in the shower. Laughter rippled at the rye bits, the ants' jello salads laced with judgment. But tears glistened in the front row, critics scribbling furious. Intermission brought Javi's entrance in Act 2. Marco bursting through the screen door with a six-pack and a swagger that masked his own closets. Their first scene crackled tentative. Eli's guarded flirtation, Marco's bold push-pull. But as scripted kisses deepened, staged but searing, the wall between them thinned. Javi's hand on Sebastian's waist trembled, real hunger bleeding through, and for a breath, the house vanished. Applause thundered at the act break, Elena gripping Sebastian's arm backstage. Magic, kid. Pure fucking magic. Yet dread coiled in his gut. Harlan, would he come? The old man hadn't RSVP'd beyond that letter, but visions plagued. Harlan in the third row, face purpling, storming the stage again. Sebastian scanned the lobby during the break, patrons milling with programs and wine flutes, but no flannel-clad ghost. Relief warred with loss. Part of him ached for the father who'd once hoisted him on shoulders at steelworker parades, before Mom's death turned Harlan to stone. Act 3 built to the climax. Eli's confrontation with his dad, the mill's shadow looming via projected smokestacks. Sebastian poured it out. The limp revealed as legacy, not accident. Voice breaking on lines he'd rewritten from his own scars. You think breaking me makes you whole? This body's mine now, bent, but bending toward the light. The audience leaned in, a woman in the balcony stifling sobs. Marco's redemption followed, pulling Eli into an embrace that blurred stage marks. Javi's whisper hot against his ear. I'm sorry. Real, raw apology or ad-lib. Sebastian pulled back on stage, heart hammering, and finished the scene on instinct. The final blackout met with a roar that shook the rafters. Curtain call was euphoria. Bows rippling from ensemble to leads. Elena center stage beaming like a general after victory. Sebastian and Javi clasped hands for the finale, the grip lingering, electric. Whispers from the wings. They're fucking, aren't they? Laughter bubbled, but as they exited to thunderous ovation, a figure detached from the shadows, Harlan, disheveled in an ill-fitting suit, smelling of bus, exhaust, and regret. His eyes, bloodshot, locked on Sebastian's. Son. The green room emptied fast, cast scattering to after-parties, leaving Sebastian cornered by the man who'd birthed and battered him. Javi hovered at the door, Theo slinking out with a last lingering glance, but Harlan waved him off like smoke. Just us, boy. Words failed at first. the air between them a minefield of unsaid sins. Harlan sagged onto a prop stool, hands knotted like old ropes. Watched the whole damn thing. You were good. Real good. A cough rattled his chest. Smoker's hack or something worse. And he pulled a flask, swigging deep before offering it. Sebastian shook his head, Kane steadying his stance. Why'd you come? Not accusation, exhaustion. Harlan's gaze dropped to the cast, now scarred pink but serviceable. That night. Christ, Seb. I blacked out after. Woke up in a motel off the turnpike, your blood on my boot. Cops came, but you wouldn't press. Why? You raised me to forgive. Bitter truth, laced with acid. The old man winced, rubbing his jaw. I raised you to survive. Thought, after your ma, if I made you tough, you'd outrun it. The hurt. Tears tracked his weathered cheeks, carving canyons. But I broke you instead. Saw it up there. My words, my fists, in your boy's mouth. Eli, that's me, ain't it? Sebastian sank beside him, the stool creaking under their weight. Yeah, but it's not just you. It's me too, hiding, hating the parts that didn't fit your mold. We both limped into this. Silence stretched, broken only by distant cheers from the lobby. Harlan reached out, hesitant, his palm rough against Sebastian's knuckles. I'm sorry, don't cut it, but can we try? Not fix, just walk together, slow as you need. The door creaked. Javi, eyes wary, but softening at the tableau. Everything good? Harlan eyed him, measuring, then nodded grudging. Heard you too, on stage. Off too, I reckon. A grunt, almost a chuckle. Treat him right, kid, or I'll hobble you next. Javi's laugh was tentative, but real, and Sebastian felt the knot in his chest loosen, breath easing. We'll see, Javi said, extending a hand. Harlan took it, grip firm, a truce fragile as rice paper. Theo's betrayal hit the next morning. Hangover be damned. Over bagels at a corner deli, Mia scrolled her phone, paling. Bitch, she hissed, shoving the screen. A leaked email chain, Theo shopping Sebastian's injury story to tabloids. Tragic gay actor crippled by bigot dad. Hollywood's next it boy? With attached headshots and a pitch for sympathy casting. Worse, Javi's name in the margins. Co-star with potential. Theo claiming he'd nudged their chemistry for buzz. Rage boiled, but Sebastian's call went to voicemail. Theo's line dead, his Insta scrubbed. Elena fired him by noon, the company fracturing over the ethics breach. He played us all, she fumed in a group text. But you're gold. Javi confessed that afternoon in Washington Square Park, pigeons scattering as they sat on a damp bench. I knew about his pitches. Thought it was harmless, networking like you said. But when he looped me in, I should have told you. Feared you'd think I was in on it. Sebastian's hurt flared, fresh as the break. I did. For a minute. That's the poison. Makes you doubt the good. Javi's hand found his, thumb circling the pulse point. Then let me prove it. No coattails. Just us. Limping, laughing, loving through the bullshit. The kiss that followed was salt and spring air. A seal on the mending. Harlan stuck around a week, crashing on the futon. His presence awkward but thawing. Burnt diner toast for breakfast, gruff questions about that Javi fella. One night, over bootleg cable reruns of old westerns, he cracked. Your ma would have loved this city. Loved you, all of you. Sebastian cried then. Silent tears Harlan didn't mock, just patted his shoulder like when he was small. The run extended, sold-out houses, reviews hailing a queer gut punch with heart. Sebastian's limp became legend, audiences lingering post-show for hugs and stories. A scout from a streaming giant approached, not pitycast, but for a lead in a dramedy about fractured families finding queer joy. Your Eli lingers, the woman said. We want that fire. Summer scorched in, the cast party spilling onto fire escapes with sangria and secrets. Harlan headed back to Ohio, promising monthly calls. No bullshit, son. His truck rumbling away like a reluctant farewell. Javi and Sebastian sublet a one-bed in the East Village. Walls thin, but there's nights tangled in sheets that smelled of home. One August dawn, as the city stirred to life, Sebastian woke to Javi's sketchpad open on the sill. Half-finished portrait of them, limbs intertwined, faces lit by promise. "Our story," Javi murmured, sliding back under the covers. "Not broken, just beautifully bent." And in that light, Sebastian believed it, legs matching a life not of ruin, but redemption, one deliberate step at a time. Epilogue whispers came unbidden in the quiet months after the run closed. The warehouse theater gone dark, but its echoes reverberating in Sebastian's bones. The streaming gig landed, a 6-episode arc in Rusted Hearts. A show about blue-collar queers rebuilding after economic collapse. Eli's spiritual successor transplanted to a Pittsburgh suburb. Filming started in September, the upstate leaves turning crimson as Sebastian nailed his first take. A barroom confession to a lover amid clinking glasses and jukebox twang. Javi tagged along for the pilot week, his own callback stacking, a guest spot on a queer procedural, then a lead in an indie about Bronx ballroom kids. "We're unstoppable," he'd grin over craft services burritos, his hand always finding Sebastian's under the table. A secret code in public. But scars itched, reminders that healing was helix, not line. Harlan's calls held steady, Sundays at 7 p.m. sharp, his voice gravel-soft over the line. Tales of mill buddies retiring, the Vindicator's obituary for old coach Ramirez. Once, halting, therapy, Seb Group 4. Folks like me, dads who fucked up. Sebastian's silence stretched. Then, "Proud of you." It wasn't absolution, but a bridge, planks laid tentative over the chasm. Thanksgiving that year was a hybrid beast. Javi's abuelas spread in the Bronx. Pastelillos steaming, merengue thumping from a boombox. Followed by a red-eye to Ohio, Sebastian's cane clicking through O'Hare like a metronome. Harlan's trailer sagged under fresh paint. The yard raked clean of last winter's debris. Dinner was venison chili. Burnt at the edges but honest, the three of them, Harlan, Sebastian, and a surprise. Uncle Ray, Harlan's brother, grizzled and gay, out since the 80s AIDS marches. "Heard about your leg," Ray said, clapping Sebastian's shoulder. "Mine's from a bar brawl in Frisco. Pride wounds, kid. Wear 'em like medals." Talk flowed easier with Ray there. Stories of Stonewall spilled over pie, Harlan listening rapt, his questions probing not prying. "What was it like, back then?" Ray's laugh boomed. "Terrifying. Exhilarating. Like loving in a war zone." Harlan nodded slow, eyes on Sebastian and Javi's linked hands across the table. "Like now, I guess. No apology, but amends in the margins." A check for PT copays slipped into Sebastian's coat. Betrayal's ghost lingered in New York winters, Theo's fallout a cautionary scar. He'd resurfaced in trade rags, blacklisted but spinning yarns of creative differences. His Insta a shrine to Ella's sunsets and shady agents. Sebastian blocked the noise, but doubt whispered during dry spells. Damaged goods. Javi countered with action. Co-writing a spec script, their first joint baby. A rom-com about two theater nerds navigating homophobic dads and broken limbs, pitched as When Harry Met Sally, but gayer and grittier. Elena optioned it, her production company hungry for voices like theirs. Spring bloomed with propositions. A TEDx talk on queer resilience, Sebastian on a panel with activists from the Pulse Memorials, his limp a punctuation to stories of survival. Javi proposed during the Q&A, off-mic, knee dropped in the green room wings. A ring scavenged from his abuela's pawned heirlooms, simple silver etched with siempre. "Marry me, Seb. Let's make our mess a masterpiece." Tears blurred the footlights, Sebastian's yes a sob laugh. The wedding was small, Bushwick rooftop, Mia officiating in a suit of rainbow sequins, Harlan flying in with Ray, his toast slurred but sincere. To legs that match lives worth walking, and love that straightens the path. Guests hooped, Javi pulling Sebastian close for a dip that tested the cane but not the heart. Years folded like script pages. The spec sold to Netflix, their on-screen kiss going viral. A dog adopted from the ASPCA, a mutt named Rusty with a hitch in his gait. Harlan's remission announcement over FaceTime. His trailer swapped for a condo near Ray in Cleveland. Sebastian directed his first short, Limbs, a docu-fiction on father-son reckonings. Javi producing, Elena exec ing. Premiered at Tribeca, standing stretching eternal. On a crisp November eve, 5 years to the crack of that boot, Sebastian and Javi stood on the high line, city lights winking below like co-conspirators. Snow flurried soft, the first of the season. Think he'd be proud? Javi asked, nodding at the invisible stars. Sebastian leaned on his cane, now more prop than necessity, the limp a sway he'd owned like choreography. He is. We all are. Harlan's latest card tucked in his pocket. Saw the trailer. Cried like a fool. Love dead. Life wasn't linear, no tidy fade to black. Conflicts simmered. Industry biases, family flare-ups, the grind of grants and gigs. But in the marrow, it was human. Laughter echoing in lofts, bodies entwined against the world's rough edges. Love a verb that mended what fists and fears tore. As they walked home, arms linked, Sebastian glanced back at the glittering skyline. Broken once, yes, but pieced into something luminous. Legs matching a life ablaze.